Namaste पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Welcome all of you. Thank you for getting up early in the morning and coming for the program today. The purpose of our coming together to study the scriptures and discuss about them is to become enlightened in the beginning and eventually bring that enlightenment to the point of everlasting bliss. You will see whether you are a jnani, you are a yogi, you are a bhakta. Ultimately, everybody is looking for everlasting bliss. Ramante yogino anante satyananda chidatmani iti ramapade nasau parabrahma bhidiyate. This is a very famous verse. He says, in this world, it is not that yogis are people who renounce the world and eat kandamul and roots and berries and, they go into a platform of self-denial. Rather, it is said yogis are the connoisseurs of pleasure. The connoisseur of art means one who buys costly paintings. Connoisseur of food means one who tastes different type of foods and is very meticulous in even sometimes going 20 miles away to a hotel to eat a particular item. Is a connoisseur of food. Similarly, connoisseur of pleasure means yogis don't go for chota-mota pleasures, small pleasures. They go for the biggest pleasure, it is said. Just like sometimes a crane is standing like this in the water, it leaves all small fishes to go. Okay, chalo, chalo. You are not what I'm looking for. When there's the biggest fish which comes, immediately they catch. Similarly, the yogis are ones who are not easily appeased or satisfied with the petty pleasures of this world. They're looking for the biggest pleasure, everlasting bliss. So, in order to attain that everlasting bliss, for example, jnanis want to get rid of all sufferings of this world and go to Brahman, where they can experience, everlasting relief from the pangs of the material miseries. Like you see, Jains, you must have seen, they walk barefoot, correct, no? You must have seen the ladies in white walking barefoot, covering their mouth. So it's like a kind of life of self-torture, apparently, if you see their lifestyle. But then their goal is to go beyond the wheel of samsara, to the point where they don't have to come back into this world again, isn't it? Buddhists also practice silence for months and years together, also, some of them. To withdraw the sense of speech uh, in order to conserve their energy and utilize it for uplifting of the mind and intelligence. They do that also. The same manner, bhaktas, they may live in the heart of the city like anybody else. Their activities also may be appearing to be very similar to the activities of ordinary people. Like you look at Arjuna, he has a chariot, Duryodhana has a chariot. Arjuna has horses, Duryodhana has horses. Arjuna has bow and arrow, Duryodhana has bow and arrow. Arjuna is fighting, Duryodhana is fighting. What is the difference? It looks, it's all the same, but there's a very big difference. Arjuna is fighting for Krishna's pleasure, Krishna's order, Krishna's guidance. And Duryodhana is fighting for his own sense gratification, self-aggrandizement, for usurping the property of someone else. So the intention, the motivation, the purpose, the goal, those are different. Similarly, bhaktas may be living in the middle of the city, but their goal is to live for Krishna. By so doing, they also become oblivious to the karmic reactions completely. And they go back home, back to Godhead at the time of death. And there they experience everlasting bliss. That means whether you are a jnani, you are a yogi, you are a bhakta, ultimately everybody is looking for everlasting, blissful situation where you are completely oblivious to, birth, old age, disease, death, hunger, thirst, lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, and all these things. So therefore, one of the first steps in the path of spiritual life is to seek knowledge and acquire intelligence. Now, when we talk about intelligence, what is the best method of acquiring intelligence? That intelligence that is necessary to perfect our life. So, to put it very simply, the intelligence which can help the spirit be liberated from matter. One has to cultivate that intelligence. Right now, the spirit is entangled in matter, just like a parrot entangled in a cage, or a rat trapped in a cage. How can the spirit be liberated from this matter? That knowledge is given in the scriptures. And scriptures very much emphasize on studying the scripture, which is a manual, and becoming enlightened. Because without becoming enlightened, there is no further progress. That is why the scripture forms the basis. Srila Prabhupada used to often say, who is an intelligent person? You will see there are two words used. Vimudha is a foolish person. Jnana chakshusha is a intelligent person with vision, proper vision. Even in this world also, intelligent persons are more appreciated. Like, Vidwan Sarvatra Pujyate. It's a Charvari Bhushanam Chandro. The moon is the beauty of the sky, full moon. Similarly, Prithvi Bhushanam Raja. If there is a very righteous king on earth, then he is actually the beauty of the earth. Similarly, Vidwan Sarvatra Pujyate. If somebody is a learned person, intelligent person, Buddhiman, he is worshipped everywhere in the world without any reservation, anywhere he goes. He can offer something meaningful, sensible to the people of the world. Prabhupada told the story, how you may be small, but your intelligence can be great. So he gave the example, once a rabbit, was caught by a lion. And the lion was about to eat him up, and rabbit said, sir, please kindly give me one last chance. I'll just go to my family members and say bye-bye and come. And then you can eat me. I'll be back by 1 o'clock. Lion said, how can I be sure that you will come back to me? And rabbit promised them, God promised, I'll come back. So he went home. And then instead of 1 o'clock, he didn't return till 2. So when he returned at 2, the lion asked him, hey, you said you'll come at 1? I thought you have slipped out. He said, no, sir, I'm here. But sir, I have to tell you, on the way, there was a big well in which there was a huge lion. And the lion claimed that he is the king of the jungle. I told him that you are the king, but he doesn't pay any heed to me. Therefore, sir, it took me 1 hour to argue with him. Therefore, I got a bit late. And the lion said, wait a minute, who is that? Take me to him. Let me see how he can prove his supremacy over me. So then he took the lion to the well and he showed the well. So when the lion peeped in, he saw his own reflection. And he roared, and that fellow also roared. Then he jumped into the well, and that was the end of the lion. So Prabhupada says, although the lion is a very mighty creature, the small rabbit was more intelligent. Buddhir yasya balam tasya, he says. So, therefore, the size of the body doesn't matter as long as one is intelligent. There was one Gurukula where some few boys, they studied and they were graduating and they were returning. On the way, when they were talking with each other, because they were all learned fellows, intelligent fellows, often amongst intelligent people, sometimes there is a arguments, because everybody wants to present themselves to be better than the others. They want to gain supremacy over others' intelligence. In the course of their argument, one of them said, hey, you studied in the Gurukula for so many years, where they were taught both the Vedic knowledge as well as vocational knowledge. For example, when you join the Gurukula at the age of 5, probably up to 10 or 11, everybody was taught the same Vedic spiritual wisdom. And after that, depending on your Varna, if you are a Brahmana, then you will be put in one vocational training. Kshatriya, then they have to learn martial arts and everything also. Vaishya, then they have to be taught economics and so many other things. So they took training. So one of them said, now in the entire training in our life, I have learned one thing. Well, how to assemble things. So he was telling, look at the skeleton of the tiger, which is lying in the forest. I can gather it and assemble it and make it look as it was before standing. I can do that. And then he started gathering all the bones and assembling and fitting. The second one said, you only can assemble them. You can't do anything more than that. I can, chant the mantra by which all the muscles and the flesh and bone, everything can, come, he said. And the third one said, you can only do that much. But I can even invite the soul which has left the body and ask the soul to come and occupy the body of the tiger. And fourth boy said, wait a minute, all of you guys, before you do anything, wait a minute. He ran and climbed up the tree, the top of the tree. And the third guys proceeded with what they wanted to do to prove their greatness. The result was what? The tiger came back to life and started attacking all the three and ate one by one, everybody. Now the tiger's belly was full, so the fourth fellow could get down and still tiger wouldn't do anything to him. Could peacefully walk away. Tiger had to digest the previous food now, so he sat down in one place. So the idea is we need the intelligence which can liberate us, not that intelligence which will further bind us, make us even more entangled. So these fellows went and got educated, and then they came, and the result was it was more entangling. Recently, I heard in some of the engineering colleges in Pune that they are closing down chemical department, civil engineering department, and all completely. And on the contrary, they are doubling and tripling the computer sciences department. Now, computer science has more than 25 branches, I heard. So each branch has got big, big professors, a lot of number of students, and artificial intelligence is increasing now more, robotics and all those things they are newly launching now. Now, the result of the expansion of artificial intelligence and robotics in a large scale all across the globe is some of the very intelligent people enter into those streams. And then they are helping with the economic lords to come up with systems and come up with machines by which large number of work done by human beings can be performed by machines. And you can completely do away with human element. And why they wish to do that? Because human being involves free will. And human beings can raise a flag and ask for more salary. And human beings have interpersonal clashes. And human beings have to be paid more and more salary with increasing years. So all this can be done away if you have a machine in that place, substituting the humans, isn't it? So they thought it's real intelligence to have robots do all the activity. You go to airport nowadays, you have DG Yatra nowadays. You just show your face and then you can go straight to the flight. We have nobody else stopping you instead of having to do with so many human elements in between, like that. So now they are trying to replace as much as humans. What is the result of that? Uh, now, uh, if you see in India, some 20 lakh engineers come out. Out of that, only 5 lakh engineers get jobs. Other 5 lakhs go for masters or something like that. And the other 5 lakh people, some or other, do some job somewhere like driving a car or, driving auto or something like that. But the other 5 lakh, they don't get anything. They don't know. Many of them commit suicide also like that. So in the Vedic life, one of the first concerns for any leader or king was how to engage all the people in society through Varnashrama. Varnashrama means 4 people. Say in a house like this, say one man is an intelligent man, and one man is a powerful man, physically powerful man. Third man is a economically intelligent man. He knows how to make money, bring money. And the fourth man is willing to cooperate with these 3 people. These 4 people can do a lot of things. For example, the intelligent man can first of all give direction. Hey, first of all, we need food. So arrange for the food. So the third man has the money in his pocket. So he arranges the food. And when they are living in the house, some thieves are breaking into the house, the second man can attack him. And he can drive away the thief. Is it not true? Now these 3 men are idea men, but the fourth man is ready to give shape to the ideas. So these 4 people, we call it as Tata, we call it TATA. Teachers, administrators, traders, artisans. These 4 people combination is very powerful. In a body, for example, your head is the teacher. The shoulders are the administrator. Stomach is the traders. And leg is like the artisan. Like in the head, you have the brahmanas or the teachers. They have the vision to see the world. They can listen very well to others. They can smell the grievances in society. With the mouth, they can give advice to society. And they have the brain, which gives direction to the whole body. That's why Brahmana is compared to head. Similarly, the Vaishya is compared to shoulder. Why? Because any object falls on you, how do you stop it? You stop with your hand. You do stop with your head like this. If you stop the head, head will go inside. Isn't it? You have to stop with your hands. Isn't it? Or somebody comes to slap you or beat you, what do? You bring the hand immediately, you slap back, or you catch his hands. Is it not true? Or you punch on his nose for defending yourself. That's why the Kshatriyas are compared to the hands and shoulders. And Vaishyas are compared to stomach. Why? Because they generate the economy and circulate to the whole body, which means Brahmanas get charity, Kshatriyas get tax, and Shudras get food, clothing, shelter. All 3 are taken care by only one class, which is the third fellow, Vaishyas. That is stomach. And the fourth is a labor class, or the legs. They support all the other 3. If you see, the leg carries the whole body and walks. It carries the belly, carries the shoulder, carries the head. Similarly, the laborers are there used, like in fields, you will see farmers engage them. Similarly, you will see them in the army as foot soldiers. Similarly, you see them assisting Brahmins in making the yajna kund and bringing wood and everything they do. So, in this way, in the Vedic life, everybody got to do something which they were capable to do. For example, somebody says, "See, I cannot think. You just tell me what to do, I will do." They also got their food, clothing, shelter. Similarly, somebody is very good in protecting cows and generating economy. They could go in the fields and live in the villages, and then they could then generate economy for the whole society. If you see, Similarly, somebody is a protector could join army, navy, air force, and give protection to the nation. Similarly, the first top class of people could uh, kindly give guidance to the whole society, how to live in this world and how to attain the ultimate goal of life. So that is true intelligence, not the intelligence to destroy others or get destroyed oneself. Like these 3 boys, they were actually proving their intelligence, but they were actually leading to destruction of everyone else. One of the fourth boy was smart enough to escape by climbing up the tree. Therefore, it is said the intelligence matters a lot. We don't want perverted geniuses in society, perverted intelligence. We want intelligence that will actually lead us to the goal of life, purpose of life, and it will help us lead meaningful lives. Not those who make vitanda or useless arguments, isn't it? So, when, like for example, Elon Musk, now he's finding out ways to how we can bring about some interplanetary travel. It's making rockets. He's thinking. So very intelligent man, moneyed man also. So if you ask him, about his education, he studied in University of Pennsylvania. Uh, so after he's doing his undergrad and masters, he was also thinking of embarking on PhD, but which he didn't do. And the reason that he told was, when I go to college, I feel that the learning in the college is not fast enough and not deep enough, because everybody is asked to go at the same pace. But he said, when I was given opportunity, when I left the college, I could see that, so what is the best method of learning? He says that, like a tree, it has got stem, it has got branches, then it has got sub branches, then the twigs and leaves and flowers and fruits. Like that, he says, anything you learn in life, he says, you should learn from the fundamentals. Go to the root, get the overall understanding, overall picture of everything. And then you can go into the details and sub details and finer details. But he says that many teachers, the style of teaching could be many times, they may be catching out of the leaves or the twigs. They may be telling details of a subject, which are the last thing that we need to know, he says. So the first thing that you need to know is the overall picture of what the whole subject matter is. And he says that anybody who learns like that, uh, they can have very penetrating intelligence. So that type of overall, and this is what makes Srila Prabhupada's training very special. If you see Srila Prabhupada, when he went to the West, he said, who is the operator of the cosmic machine? You are the operator of bodily machine, and Krishna is the operator of universal machine. If you say that, if you first of all understand that your body cannot function without an operator. So if you say you are the body, Prabhupada actually the very first thing he started is matter and spirit difference. You are not matter. Who are you? You're spirit. Because just like you see a drone camera flying, it is not flying on its own. Somebody is operating it. And by the spirit's touch over matter, then only matter can function. Show me one place where matter is functioning on its own. It cannot unless there's a touch of spirit. There's a living person who has to touch a machine. Light is glowing because I switched on the bulb. Therefore, it is glowing. Similarly, take a huge machine, milling machine, drilling machine, or a JCB machine. It's a gigantic hand is digging and throwing. Looks like a Rakshasa hand. But how is it able to do? Because there's a man sitting in the cabin and pressing a button, isn't it? So in this way, where there is no touch of spirit, there is no possibility of machine moving on its own, which means the combination of material elements put together in a conglomeration that doesn't have the capacity to move itself on its own. This is where Prabhupada began. Very, very fundamental truth. And then he said, if matter cannot move on its own, then who is moving it? That's the next question. We know that living forms are moving it. Then the next question is, where do living forms come from? Life always comes from life. Show me one place where life is generated from matter. People tell stories. So there are the Dawkins is speaking stories. He said, my book should be read like a sci-fi book, he said, because he himself hasn't seen life coming from matter. So life cannot come from matter. It has never come from matter, or even you cannot show life coming from matter even right now also. If that is the case, we have always seen life coming from living forms. So if life is coming from living form, then the origin of all the creation must be ultimately a living person. And he is the operator of the cosmic machine. You are operator of, you are also spirit, he is also spirit. But you are Brahma, he is Parabrahma. You are Atma, he is Paramatma. You are tiny and he is great. He can make an ocean, you can only make a swimming pool. He can make a moon, you can only make a dome light. He can put Jupiter, Saturn in orbit, you can only put a Sputnik in orbit. So, in this way, Prabhupada distinguished between the Supreme Creator and the tiny Jiva, and both being operators. And then he went on further with how that Supreme Creator created this world. And this world is not without a purpose. This world is not existing without any rhyme or reason. It has a clear cut purpose. Hmm. There is a spiritual plane, there is a material plane. Spiritual plane is a plane where all jivas are pure originally. But the material plane is a plane where the jivas are enveloped by, mind and body, which are impure. So this place is given as a facility for purifying our mind and going back to spiritual plane. So that purification is done by the chanting of the holy name. So you can see Prabhupada is giving the large scale information about everything in the universe. Then he is getting into details in the small books. Which is exactly what Elon Musk says, that we have to know the large scale information very clearly. Then you can ascertain the goal of your life. For example, as soon as you sit in a car, Uber or Ola, what's the first thing he will ask you? OTP will ask you. After OTP, what he will ask you? Destination. If you tell him, I am sitting in your car, but I'm not very sure, you just start the car, let me see. Let me think, whether to go to Secunderabad or, whether to go to Vijayawada, that I'll decide. Can you say that? He will say, then I'll wait. I will hold on for think and you tell me. Otherwise, I cannot just budge an inch. Huh? So, in the same manner, when you have the overall knowledge, you get a very clear picture. Why am I doing what I am doing? Every day. So, the every day what you're doing is a small element of your life. Then this is going to amount to what you do over the week or the month or the year. And what are you going to fill up your life with will depend on what is your life's goal. It makes it very clear. So, the overall picture you have to. And second thing Elon Musk says is critical thinking. He says the penetrating intelligence with which one can do critical thinking. He says this ability doesn't come just by reading books alone, or by giving exams, or by cramming and vomiting. It doesn't come. He says that you need wise people who have gone through challenges in their life, and they have tackled it successfully, and they have come out and they can tell you their stories. So he says when he himself interviews people for recruiting in his company, he says one of the first things he tells them is, tell me what challenges you came across in your life and how did you solve those challenges. See, people say, no, I didn't face any challenges. Then say, bye bye, you can carry on. That means you didn't, never did any critical thinking in your life at all. But if people say that, yes, this I was successful, in this I was a failure, and then I learned a lesson. He says, so the critical thinking becomes very activated. And so by learning from people who have gone through fire, and they have become very mature, and either they have seen and learned, or they have heard and learned, they have gone through it and learned, and they have that depth and the maturity and the wisdom. You can very easily learn what you cannot learn in 10 years, you can learn in just, he says, in a few minutes, by being with somebody like that. So, and therefore you will see when Srila Prabhupada went to the West, because 45 years of lifetime in preparation. So many years he has done bhajan, he has done kirtan, he has done study of the Shastra, various acharyas he has studied. And all the quintessence of all his intelligence and knowledge, he put it all in his books and his conversations and the lectures that he gave when he went to the West. And he could practically answer any question under the sun. Anybody asked him any question with clarity. With his purity, he could answer with clarity and he could give direction to all people from all classes of life. Scientists came and talked to him. Philosophers came and talked to him. Temple priests from churches came and spoke to him. There were many writers who came and spoke to him. Theologians, college professors and directors came and spoke to him. So very, very wide gamut of audience, wide variety. They asked questions from all sorts of questions about life. He could answer them very expertly because he had that right wisdom which came by not only acquiring knowledge but also by practicing it for decades. And he has seen people from all walks of life, and he could give examples, mm, and he could give direction to the whole world. So, and that is one of the reasons why the knowledge that he gave through his lectures and books that could become relatable and relevant for people from all over the world. Huh? It is not pertinent to somebody in one particular clan, in a particular Vamsha or something. Like you see certain organizations, I don't want to name them, but they will say that we come in this kind of some religious group. Huh? They belong to one particular jati or some vamsh which is coming. Only that it's relevant only to them. Whereas what Prabhupada gave was relevant to all people across all over the world. You will see that, huh? Because of that type of, broad-minded approach, that he took. So, uh, when we talk about intelligence in this world, uh, one should be able to discriminate. One should be able to think smarter than others. One example I'll tell you. Like you hear many Akbar Birbal story. Birbal was very dear to Akbar, but that was not liked by the ministers. One day, Birbal wanted to prove to the ministers that, Akbar wanted to prove to ministers that Birbal is smart. So once he called the ministers and told them, see, there's a tree there. Underneath, there's one man standing. He looks like a stranger. Can you just find out who is? So then one minister went and came back and said, his name is such and such, he said. Then Akbar asked, where is he from? He said, that I didn't ask, he said. Then he sent the second minister. Second minister went and asked, where are you from? And then he came back and told me. Then Akbar asked him, why is he here? He said, that I didn't ask, he said. Then the third fellow went and asked, why are you here? He said, my sister is here. No, my sister is married and settled here. I just came to her house, he said. He came and said. Then Akbar asked, how many days is he going to be here? Sorry, that I didn't ask, he said. Then he phoned the fourth minister. Then later on, when Birbal came, Akbar told Birbal, hey, just find out who is that fellow. And Birbal spent 10 minutes and came back and told everything. He is not, there is no danger from this fellow. Because he is from the neighborhood kingdom. And that king is your friend only. He is favorable. And this fellow has just come to see his sister. He's going to stay for a week here. And today is the last day he's going to go. And here at the entrance of our kingdom, they have checked his intention and coming and everything. And there is nothing to worry. Because as a king, he is worried about strangers, correct, no? So he told everything. And then Akbar looked at other ministers and said, see, not only he got all the details, he knows with what intention I am asking the question. Because everybody asks the question with some intention. For example, if any one of you is asking, are gulab jamuns over? What is the meaning? Uh, you immediately understand the intention. Intention is, if there is any gulab jamun, if it is possible, if you can serve me a couple of more, then I'll, I can savor it. That's the meaning. That intention is implied in the question. When the king is asking, who is that fellow stranger? That means he's worried. So he answered the intention. So in this way, you will see that uh, when one studies any subject with a proper purview, then that intelligence helps you. Whether you are in this world, whether you are talking about spirituality for the next world. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the buddhi is explained in many places. For example, two words are used in the beginning of the class today. One is uh, jnana chakshush, other one is vimuda. Where does it come? Utkramantam sidam va vibhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. He's saying how the soul enters the body, how the soul moves the body, how the soul quits the body and goes to next body. These are all observable only by jnana chakshush, by one who has that intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Though one who is a muff, one who is the ignoramus, he never studied the spiritual subject matter. He has no knowledge. He just thinks the bodies are everything. The matter is everything. He's thinking the material world is a display of material variety. He doesn't know anything beyond that. Just like a dog, it sees a sumo running, and the dog thinks it's a big animal. Bah, bah, it will be running behind that, as if that is a competitor animal. but he doesn't know inside the sumo there's a driver. He doesn't see the driver. Similarly, one who is truly wise, he can see that behind this body there is a driver of the body, which is the spirit soul. So in this sense, Krishna is talking about Jnana Chakshush, one who has the eyes to see the truth. Similarly, there is another place where Krishna says that, how does a person become truly intelligent? He says that रागद्वेष विमुक्तैस्तु विषयान् इन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो हि आशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते नास्ति बुद्धिर्युक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभावयतः शान्तिर् अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम. Very, very important verses. I'll show you the verse. Here Krishna says that there are two words he uses, raga and dvesha. The first verse I told you, yeah. It's the meaning of that. Uh, yeah.
But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord.
Yeah. For example, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra relationship, if you see, Dhritarashtra was attached to Duryodhana, because of which ultimately the whole dynasty was destroyed. You will see that. Similarly, Kaikeyi was attached to making Bharata the king. Because of that, all Ayodhyawasis were filled with gloom. Ram had to go to forest. In this world, you will see the attachment also is coupled with aversion. Like Dhritarashtra was attached to Duryodhana, but he was averse to Bhima. And Kaikeyi was attached to Bharat becoming king, and she wanted to send Ram far away. You will see that. Similarly, King Chitraketu, wives, if you see, they were attached to King Chitraketu, but they were averse to Kritaditi and her child. You will see that. So these two things go hand in hand, always, attachment and they are like two sides of the same coin. And these are very deep-rooted phenomenon in the heart of a jiva. Where do they come from? Originally, they come from ignorance, avidya. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesh. There are 5 things. Avidya means complete darkness or ignorance. Like sometimes you have a cloudy sky, you don't see the sun at all. Dark clouds. So ignorance is like that. You don't have any knowledge about soul and body. So, and then that avidya leads to asmita. Asmi means aham engineero asmi, aham doctor asmi. Thinking that I am this body, I am fair as me, I am black as me, like that. Thinking that I am black, I am fair, I am tall, I am short, I am fat, I am thin, I am engineer, I am doctor, I am chartered accountant. I am born in this caste, color, or what I have this nationality. These are all asmi means external identification. That leads to attachment and aversion. For example, Dhritarashtra thought, Duryodhana is my son. Therefore, he should be the king. So, I, me, mine, ahaman, mama comes. Then third one is raga. Fourth one is desh. Abhinivesh actually means complete material absorption. 5 things. So, in this way, the attachment and aversion, Krishna says, if one is free from it, then only he can control his senses from lust, anger, and greed. Otherwise, the raga and dvesha are the cause of unnecessary anger. Like, for example, Dhritarashtra developed aversion for Bhima and wanted to kill him, isn't it? Want to crush him and kill him. So, if one has hatred, how can he be peaceful? Then he has revengeful thoughts. Is it not true? Similarly, one is attached to making unqualified son into king, then he is also not able to get his sleep because son is committing more and more mistakes. You can't make him king. At the same time, you are attached to making him king. Similarly, any of you have experience, you are attached to changing somebody's opinion. Anybody tried that? You will lose your sleep. Huh? You want somebody to be like that, you know. Like one parent came to me and they said, Prabhu, our son, he's like this, he's like that. Then I told, oh, really? He's troubling you so much. He seems to be very foolish. He's not very foolish. He's a very good boy also, huh? Very intelligent. At the same time, So they want him to be they have some image of how they want him to be. Huh? So there are many people in this world who try to mold others into their, template. They want them to be like them. These are the most frustrated people. Huh? Because ultimately everybody is what they are. Huh? And you can't change other people. Changing other people is like putting a dog's tail into a pipe. Huh? You put for a dozen years, you put it and remove the pipe, it'll go back again. Huh? So therefore, this attachment and aversion are pain producing elements in us. Huh? But if one is free from this, how can one be free from this? If you develop attachment to Krishna, 7.1, Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Hmm? Maya saktamana partha yogam yunjanmadashrayah asamshayam samagram mam yata ajnasasi tatshunu. Arjuna, I'll tell you in this chapter how you can develop attachment for me. By developing an attachment, you give up mental attachments very easily. So how does he say that? He says for 7.4, 7.5, he says is the cause of all causes. 7.7 to 7.12, he says is the essence of everything. In the 10th chapter, he gives 82 opulences, where he says he's the best of everything. So these three things, if you contemplate on very deeply by looking the world around you, you will become attached to him. You will become attached to Krishna, the Supreme Person. Anybody who sincerely approaches the subject. So in this way, when one becomes free from attachment, so once you are attached to Krishna, the beauty of attachment to Krishna is that it doesn't produce any aversion. Whereas in material world, when you are attached to one person, you become averse to another person. Rather, in Krishna's case, what happens when you are attached to Krishna, you also become attached to compassionately serving all his part and parcels, all the jivas in this world. This is the beauty of Krishna connection. In the spiritual world, there is only Sukham, there is no Dukham. There is only Man, there is no Apaman. You will see that. Similarly, there is only attachment to Krishna, there is no aversion to anybody. You will see that. That is spiritual platform. In the material platform, there is a mixture. Like, for example, you get sweet rice, but along with stone particles. You get fire along with smoke. That is the material world. Spiritual world, these dualities are not there. So, in this way, when you become free from all attachment and aversion, and you are controlling the senses through regulative principles, then he says, then one can get mercy. And then he talks about what is this mercy. Next verse he says, Prasade sarva dukkhana anirasyopadayate prasanna chetasho hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. Yeah, read it.
For one, thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established.
Let us see how it is. Say, for example, once you become Krishna conscious, your eating habits become very pure. We eat very mild and sattvic ahar offered to Krishna, which is sanctified. So therefore, your health is very good. You see that you eat very simple food. So, and also you sleep early, you rise early, and you don't throw substances into the body which are harmful for the body, like tobacco or cigarette or drink, hot drinks like rum and beer and all those things, and drugs and all you don't put. So then the body is clean, isn't it? Your system is clean, body is clean, food is clean, your sleeping habits are clean, and also you follow the four regulative principles. You don't have illicit sex. So physically you are not indulging in illicit sex. So therefore you are not hankering for opposite sex and chasing after them. So that 50% of your problems are gone by that. You can see that. In this way, you don't meddle with others' money, you don't gamble. So naturally, you don't have anxiety that somebody will send gundas to beat me up. Isn't it? So, in this way, you will see when one is Krishna conscious, from your body and mind, there is no need for your depression in the mind or disease in the body. Bodily diseases and depression in the mind are mainly due to misuse, abuse of the body. Correct, no? So therefore, a Krishna conscious person can have a healthy body and a healthy mind and a cheerful mind, because he also accepts that Krishna is the pivot of the world. Everyone and everything is meant for Krishna service. So in this way, one can actually lead a very peaceful life. Then similarly, the miseries from other living entities are aggravated generally when you cannot pinch your neighbor and expect that you can be peaceful. Imagine I pinch and I sit like this. And they will also pinch me, correct? No? The other living entities are not going to spare you if you trouble them. But a Krishna conscious person, what it is said in the 12th chapter of Gita, he says, Yasma no udvijate loko, lokano udvijate chayaha, harshamayod begair mukto yasa chame priyaha. He says, he doesn't give trouble to other living entities. And if other living entities give trouble to him, he doesn't, you know, he doesn't retaliate. He's very cool. Like Prahlad was so cool, even though his father troubled him so much. And Prahlad never troubled his father. So devotees are always well-wishers of all living beings. So in this way, uh, the devotee lives free from trouble. If somebody troubles also, devotee has the inner tenacity and inner strength to be able to face all challenges that may come in this world, because he derives strength from Krishna. Just like Prahlad was deriving strength from Supreme Lord. Though he was a small 5-year-old boy, he had the strength to face the king of the world. King of not only this world, king of all the three lokas. He could tackle him fearlessly, like that. So in this way, devotee is free from Adi Bhautika misery also, not only Adi Admika. And Adi Daivika, the material nature is so pleased with the devotee. The cloud showers rains, the earth gives crops by the devotees. Like Prithu Maharaj was such a wonderful devotee. All the nature was yielding all benefits to the people. The nature shows a wrath only when somebody abuses nature and disrespects God. Otherwise, the nature is Krishna's dasi. She provided everything. In this way, the threefold misery of material existence is no longer for a devotee. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. He says, Buddhi paryavatishtate. The Buddhi becomes fixed intelligence, he says. And then he is saying, Nasti buddhira yuktasya, nacha yuktasya bhavana, nacha bhavayata shantir, ashantasya kutaha sukham. I read that.
One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
When there is a material intelligence, there is a transcendental intelligence. What is the difference between the two? Somebody may be a member of Mensa society. You have a high IQ person, you have 160 or 150 IQ. That has nothing to do with transcendental intelligence. Transcendental intelligence is all about beginning with Viveka Buddhi. Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekam. What is permanent, what is temporary? One should know this is the first beginning. What is spirit, what is matter, and who is the controller of both? This is the preliminary steps in transcendental intelligence. Then there are further steps also. One should, based on that knowledge, that what is permanent, what is temporary. Material body is temporary, spirit is permanent. And then spiritual practices produce amritatvam, produce imperishable results. Whereas the material acquisitions, accolades, and credentials, and achievements, and everything, that will be finished at the time of death. To know these differences. Then, based on this difference, you develop vairagya. Iha amutra bhogadi viragam. In this earthly and heavenly planets, whatever bhoga is there, bhoga is mainly money and women. One develops vairagya from it. One knows this cannot give me pleasure. Nadanam, najanam, nasundarim, kavitamba, jagadisha kamya. Correct, no? So one develops that. So then further development in transcendental intelligence is to seek out the Supreme Lord. Who is the Supreme Lord? And why has he put me here? What is his purpose? What does he want me to do? Let me research in the scriptures, study the scriptures and find out. then you understand the cycle of birth and death is there, and one has to endeavor to get rid of it. That's where you begin the transcendental intelligence. The scriptures also talk about karma kanda, where you can get earthly or heavenly pleasures by praying to different deities in this world. And that is not the ultimate goal of scriptures. That is a preliminary, temporary goal. Just like a mom says, "Beta, if you go to school, I'll give you Cadbury chocolate." And boy said, "Really? Sure, mom, do you promise me?" He says, "Yes." Then he goes to school, he comes back in the evening, he gets a Cadbury chocolate. Second day he goes and comes, he gets one more chocolate. But after 2 weeks, the chocolate stops. But the school continues. So the goal of the mother is what? To make the boy go to school. Karma Kanda is like that. Karma Kanda gives you some benefits just to give you some motivation to come to God, approach the scriptures. But then the goal is jnana. Awaken the jnana that I have to liberate the spirit from matter. That is the goal. That's a beginning goal. That's not the end goal. It's a beginning goal. After that, as you research about, okay, after liberating spirit from matter, what is the spirit supposed to do? Spirit should have some duty. And the duty is bhakti yoga. So then one comes to the point of connecting with Supreme Lord and one awakens love. That's what he is saying here. If the transcendental intelligence doesn't mature to the point of bhavana, which is Krishna consciousness, nacha yuktasya bhavana, nacha bhavayata shantir ashantasya tasukam. Without attaining Krishna bhavana, how you can be peaceful? And if you can't be peaceful, how can there be any happiness? Like that he says. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses one more word. Instead of buddhi, he uses the word prajna. I'll show you. See, he says many places, tasya prajna. Yes, sarvatrana visnehas, tattat prapya shubhashubham, nabhinandati nadveshti, tasya prajna pratishtita. Read the translation.
In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising
Despising it.
is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge.
Yeah. One should cultivate this quality also. Like there was one man or one landlord. We had another friend landlord living next to him. So one day a horse came on its own into his compound. And the neighbor said, "Oh, you are so blessed. God sent you a horse." He said, "Ishwar ki chai," he said. And then after a week, the horse went away. So the neighbor came and said, "Alas, alas, bad luck for you." The horse went away, he said. "Ishwar ki chai," he said. Then after one more week, the horse came with one more mate also. So two horses came. Yeah. So the neighbor said, "Oh, earlier you had only one. Now she has got, he has got a mate also. So both of them have come. It's a great blessing upon you." Ishwar ki chai, sir. And after that, the landlord's son sat on the back of the horse and started going for riding. While going for riding, it galloped so fast that he was thrown off and then he broke his leg. And the neighbor came with a, "Alas, it's a big bad luck for you. Earlier there was no horse, but after the horse came, your son broke the leg," he said. He said, "That is Ishwar ki chai," he said. Then the next week, the government people came for, drafting the young boys for the army. So the neighbor's son was taken to the army, and they couldn't take this son because his leg was. So he came and said, "Oh, such a good luck. It's nice that your son broke the leg, because of which he was not sent to the army. Such a good luck for you." He was saying, "Ishwar ki chai," sir. So in this way, you will see, in this world, ups and downs happen in our life. But a devotee always thinks, whatever Krishna sends, I will accept it as, his mercy. It may be sometimes pleasurable, sometimes painful. But I know for sure that nothing can happen without his will. He is sanctioning it. If he is sanctioning me pain, that pain is good for me. If he is sanctioning me pleasure, that is good for me. For example, I am in a hospital in a bed. There is another bed. I can see that the doctor is giving him a very nice, sweet smelling and sweet tasting cough syrup. And I feel like drinking it. Like once my doctor gave me cough syrup. It was such a delicious one. I asked doctor, how many times I had to take? He said, only once a day. I said, doctor, if you wish, I can take 4 times also. I can finish the bottle in one day only. You all have tasted it? So now, but the doctor, after finishing that candidate, he came here and then he said, roll up your sleeves. I'm going to give you injection. So the man was saying, doctor, you are giving me injection, you are giving him nice soup, nice syrup. Why didn't you swap it? Let me drink the syrup and you give him injection instead of me. Can you say that? Because doctor knows best. He knows best what is the right medicine for whom. Similar Krishna is supreme doctor. So devotee is fully convinced in that. Then he is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Devotee has no more confusion. Mhm. Here you see one more verse. Yada samharate chayam kurmogaaniva sarvashah indriyani indriyartebhyas tasya prajna pratishtita. Yeah.
One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as a tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness.
Yeah. You see, if one studies the senses and their behavior, one will see that you can read 18.37 Bhagavad Gita. There Krishna is telling that the pleasures and passion, they give a thrill in the beginning, but eventually they end up in big suffering. Huh? Like for example, a rat is thinking, oh, somebody has kept this pakoda hanging. Some foolish fellow has kept, he thinks. He goes inside, he pulls it, backside the door closes. He's trapped in a cage now. The foolish rat doesn't know that this pleasure is kept to catch him. He doesn't know. Similarly, all the sense gratification we do in passion, it's like that only. The senses find delight in the beginning and eventually we suffer. One can see that. So that Krishna explains in 18.37. In that purport, if you read, Prabhupada very frankly, I can just show you. What Prabhupada said. Please read this one. Yadadagre vishamiva pariname amritopamam tatsukam satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. So in the mode of goodness, the activities are all little painful in the beginning. For example, you have to rise early in the morning, take a bath and come for Mangalarti, little painful. Or you have to take an hour out to hear Gita Bhagavatam daily. You may think I have so many other things to do. But the parinam is amritopamam. You get amritatvam, eternal life you will get if you do this daily. Tatsukam satvikam proktam. That is satvika pleasure. And atma buddhi prasadajam, he says. That means it gives the intelligence of the self and it gives satisfaction eventually. You will see that. And the second one he says, Vishayendriya samyogad yattadagre amritopamam pariname vishamiva tatsukam rajasam smritam. Yeah. Did that?
That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion.
This is the passionate possessor, happiness in the beginning, but poison at the end. Read the purport, short purport, but very powerful purport.
A young man and a young woman meet, and the senses derive the
No, senses drive.
senses
Drive.
a young man to see her, to touch her, and to have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses.
See, this is how
but
the mind, this is how the senses progress. Initially, one wants to see. But after seeing continuously Dhyayata Vishayan Pumsa for some time, then there is a desire to come closer and flirt. Then one starts flirting, hanging around with that person. Come, let's go to hotel, let's go to movie. And then after that, one develops a desire to touch. One becomes too intimate, and one starts becoming casual. Then one touches the person, and the touching gradually culminates in sexual intercourse. Yeah, and then
But at the end or after some time, it becomes just like poison.
no, the next line. In the beginning, this may be very
In the
pleasing to
beginning,
the senses, but at the end or after some time, it becomes just like poison. In the beginning, it was pleasing, but eventually it became like poison. Either they are separated by divorce, or there is a divorce, and there is lamentation, there is sorrow, etc. Such happiness is always in mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and sense objects is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means, he says. So here you can see Prabhupada very frankly, honestly, present situation of the modern people, foolish people. So therefore, intelligent person, what he should do? One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell. Correct, no? So one should withdraw the senses, especially passionate pleasures one should reject. Out of them, all of them, two are most important. One is tongue, one is genitals. The tongue hankers for food. Many times we want to eat junk food. We want to eat very tasty and spicy food. So that causes agitation of the mind later. Another one is genitals, which is for clamoring for sex life. If these two things are controlled, majority of problems of your life are gone. Then you can peacefully focus on spiritual life. So, yeah, in this way, that is tasya prajna patishtita. Yogi means one who can control his senses. Is it? Here's one more tasya prajna patishtha. See here, this was. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. Yeah, read that.
One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence.
Two things. Withdraw your senses from sense gratification and then focus your consciousness upon Krishna. Two things he is telling. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha, he says. That person is a man of, again, steady, intelligent man. Why we should do this? Because if you fix your intelligence on Krishna, then you derive a lot of spiritual nourishment for the soul. The soul, more and more, the soul is chanting the holy name or hearing the pastimes of the Lord. It gets nourishment. Just like, for example, when you eat grains, you get nourishment for the body. Similarly, when you chant the holy name or hear the holy fame, then the soul gets nourishment by that. So that's why he says, Yukta asita matparaha. And by withdrawing the senses away from pleasurable activities, then the senses gradually become controlled. Otherwise, the nature of sense is what? If you go in the direction of sense gratification, senses demands will go on increasing infinitely. Therefore, people go mad practically. Why they commit suicide and all? Because it's like pouring petrol in fire. It is not going to reduce. It's only going to increase the fire. Dushpurena analena cha, he says. Therefore, one should withdraw the senses. Even those people who are indulging senses, after getting sufficient kicks, they also withdraw finally, after suffering a lot. So you have the choice. Either you hear and learn it, or you see and learn it, or experience and learn it. Otherwise, even after experience, you keep on getting kicks whole life. There are people like that also. So, therefore, these two things should be done. Just like Bhima, when he took that cartload of food for Bakasura, he thought, why should I feed this to Bakasur? He himself started eating. When Bakasur came, he punched him, on his chest. Then Bakasura would rotate, take saucers and fall far away. By the time he gets up and comes, Bhima would eat more. So, by eating more, he got more strength. So, to again give a punch to him. That's what we should do. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matpara. Give a punch to Maya and take in more and more Krishna. Like that he did. That is another. Right. That is 61. One more. But same, Tasya Prajna Pratishtha, you see. Tasmat yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashah Indriyani indriyartebhyas
Indriyanindriyate
tasya prajna pratisthita.
tasya prajna pratisthita.
Yeah.
Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence.
Any devotee, if devotees also, if they are advancing in spiritual life nicely, the reason is they have become self-control. They are practicing self-restraint. Only those devotees will advance. You will see the devotees who chant more rounds on Ekadashi day, and devotees who are very conscious and careful not to indulge in the senses. They withdraw the senses. So they will become a person of steady intelligence. So the prajna, here you see the word prajna means intelligence is said here, you see. But it is not ordinary intelligence, it is contemplative intelligence. When one contemplates with what one has read, what one has heard from great souls, one contemplates and reflects in one's life and then personally applies, that's called prajna. This prajna was awakened in the system of Dhritarashtra also, after which he left everything and went to forest with Vidura. Till then, he never used his contemplative intelligence. He was madly attached to his son. But after everything was finished, Vidura's strong preaching, it just shook him and woke him up, and he contemplated. So, in this way, the buddhi, the spiritual transcendental intelligence we were talking, the transcendental intelligence should be awakened to get proper direction in life. So, we have to strengthen this intelligence, and the strengthening happens how? One is by studying the books like spiritual literature, and that's not all. After studying the spiritual literature, one has to think about what I read, what I heard, and also meeting devotees and asking questions. As he says, pariprashnena sevaya. If you are only asking questions and learning the knowledge, but not doing service, then the knowledge will remain undigested. Just like you eat food, you don't do any activity, pedantic life, then you have problem with digestion. Correct, no? Similarly, you are learning knowledge, your head has become very big, body is very small. Isn't it? Big headed fellow. So what do you have to do? Then you have to exercise. Then you have to do seva also. So therefore the Shastras say, one should strengthen intelligence, cleanse the mind, and engage the senses. You can remember this. I showed 3 actions. How? Strengthen the intelligence, cleanse the mind, engage the senses. So engaging senses is done by seva. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevana. And cleansing the mind is done by chanting. So how the chanting cleanses, that also we have to say a few words about it. See, when we are chanting Hare Krishna, what exactly happens? We should learn to start with attention. And we should chant with full awareness of our position. The intelligence will give you that awareness. Awareness means what? I am a spirit soul. I am servant of Krishna. Krishna is my eternal master. Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna is the supreme maintainer. It is by his mercy everything is happening in my life. I am grateful to him. He is a well-wisher of all jivas. He is the best personality. There is no one like him. He is the best friend. He is like mother, father. He is everything for me. So this is awareness, full awareness you have. And besides that awareness, when you are trying to be attentive in chanting the holy name, absorption will come. Because this awareness, what it does to you, it cancels out your upadhis. The material designations like the gross body and subtle body, they go far away. Actually, generally, in chanting time, we get into a plan-making mode because we are attached to the subtle bodily plans. But when our respect for Krishna increases more and more, he is my maintainer, he is the owner of everything, he has created millions of universes, I am very insignificant, I have to return back to him, I am foolishly struggling in this world. So these type of thoughts, when they arise, then they cancel out your subtle body also. So the gross body and subtle body, they go far away. Once the upadhis are taken away, then you are in the soul consciousness. It's called as one-man prayer session. You are there, Lord is there, you are praying to Him in chanting. That produces absorption. Absorption is such a powerful thing. Just like my eyes can be open and somebody may be standing in front of me to talk to me, but I may completely not see him because my absorption is in something else. So, in the same manner, when the chanting is done with absorption, the cleansing is extremely fast. Very, very fast. And that is the time the cleansing happens. So therefore, especially our eyes and ears, we should withdraw in the beginning. Because eyes, if you close the eyes, we feel sleepy. So you keep semi-closed eyes and see the tip of the nose, Krishna says. And then ears, we should make sure that no noise is distracting us. But once the absorption starts, any amount of noise will not matter for you. Imagine, for example, you have examination tomorrow. You are sitting near the window and studying, and there is a construction going on in the neighborhood house. Will it disturb you? Absolutely not. They may be making a lot of noise, gada, 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 all those sounds. But your whole absorption is in studies. Because you know there is examination, you are very responsible. You are going to be fully absorbed in that. Similarly, chanting also. Once you get into chanting, I have personal experience of sitting in the other station. So much noise was there. But one day, when my absorption was good, the chanting was so blissful, the noise didn't make any difference. Of course, it is not every day like that. Some days it is good, some days it's bad. But sometimes you will have that experience. So, chanting done with the absorption cleanses the mind. And intelligence properly cultivated, it gives you strength. With a strong intelligence, it's possible for you to control the fickle mind and impure senses. And senses, we just now told, the senses will produce hankering if you allow them to associate with sense objects. Do you want to increase the hankering, which is like fire? Or do you want to be frustrated with your senses? The senses which chase after the sense objects become diseased senses. But the senses which withdraw from the sense objects, the senses become free from hankering. Plus, if you engage the senses in Krishna service, Rishi Kena, Rishikesha Sevana, then they become purified senses. And the purified senses lose the propensity for sense gratification. That's the beauty. The purified senses lose their taste for sense enjoyment over a period of time. Therefore, we follow the four regulative principles. Like we say, no illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. This is the way the senses can be withdrawn from the sense objects by following four regulative principles. And by doing this, we can easily see that senses not only become relieved, they become purified if you engage in Krishna service. So, senses are purified by engaging in Krishna service. Mind is purified by, cleansed by chanting of the holy name with absorption. And the buddhi is strengthened by the study of the scriptures, discussion with devotees, and seeing the scriptures from various angles scrutinizingly, and hearing from great souls who have lived the scripture in their life and have awakened wisdom. And also hearing from people who have faced challenges in their lives and how they overcame those challenges by hearing those things. It's very helpful for us to strengthen our intelligence. There is one more thing which we have not talked till now, which is the false ego. Actually, the false ego gives you the identity, which is the most important thing. If the false ego thinks you are a man, then you think I am a man. If the false ego thinks I am a woman, then you think you are a woman. I am fair, I am black, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Indian, I am American. This is actually false ego. It gives identity. So how to get rid of the ahankar? Like in Bhagavad Gita also you find Krishna was ready to give knowledge, but Arjuna was not in a mood to listen in the beginning because he thought, I know everything. So Krishna didn't give knowledge. So Arjuna spoke 5 reasons why he doesn't want to fight. But in a very scholarly way, he quoted scriptures also. After doing everything, Krishna was mildly smiling because he knew this fellow is going to cry very soon. After that, Arjuna put his bow down and said, my dear Lord, all my intelligence is useless. Now nothing is of any help. I am unable to manage my mind. I don't know whether I should leave the battle and run away, or I should fight and kill my relatives and friends. So he was totally confused. Nachaitat vidmakkataranno gareyo yadva jayema yadivano jayeyu yane bahat partha jiji vishamaste vastita pramukhe dhartarashtraha yadimama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartarashtran rane hanyustanme kshemataram bhavet. He's telling Nachaitat vidmakkataranno gareyo jayema jayeyu. He's confused between the two. he got into indecision. He was not able to ascertain what should be done. At that time, he understood that my intelligence is useless. It's like a candle before the sun. So then I accepted Krishna as the guru, and he heard. So he gave up his false ego, Arjuna, and he adopted the true ego. True ego means Krishna is my master. I am Krishna Das. That is true ego. So Rahugana also in the Bhagavatam you will find King Rahugana thought he is very intelligent, but then when he spoke to Jadabharta, he understood I am an ignoramus. I don't know anything. That means when you are approaching Guru, if this is your consciousness, I am a fool number one, I don't know anything, I need guidance. Those are the boys who progress very swiftly. People who come with a lot of baggage, thinking that I know everything, they also take time like Arjuna. Therefore, Arjuna took one full chapter away in Bhagavad Gita. He didn't let Krishna speak at that time. Of course, it's not without a purpose. Arjuna is purposefully behaving like that, indicating all of us in this world, representing all the conditioned souls who have a big baggage of so many things. They think they know everything, and then like sometimes you go to a college and do a program, and then you take in the feedback. You find that many people, they have their own idea of how to benefit the world in this world. Somebody thinking of this social service, that social service. People exactly don't know the goal of life, meaning of life, isn't it? But when you hear from the Lord, it becomes very clear. Becoming a devotee means like watering the root of the tree. And the entire tree gets nourished. The whole world will be nourished if you become Krishna conscious. One person, which is yourself. If you become Krishna conscious, you can do so much good to the world. So, in this way, the false ego is a very important element because identity, that creates responsibility. Based on the responsibility, activity. These things follow one after another. What is my identity? I am Krishna Das. And what is my responsibility? I should serve Krishna. So what I am going to do now? I am going to do some seva now. Correct, no? It follows. Or what is my identity? If somebody thinks I belong to this caste, what is my responsibility? I want to do something for these caste people. And what activity I do? I start one sangha in the caste name, and I act for them. So this is how it follows. Identity, responsibility, activity. One after another they follow. So we are very fortunate. Prabhupada books put it in a very crystal clear fashion how our identity is. Not only that we are spirit, soul, we are, we are actually different from the body. That's a preliminary knowledge. But advanced knowledge is the jiva is not independent. And jiva is not God. Jiva can never become God. Jiva is always a part. Part is a part, whole is a whole. God is the whole, we are a part. And we have a relationship. Serving Him is the ultimate goal of life. So in this way, if you bring your intelligence to this point, then your life is all perfect. Otherwise, like modern man is creating a very dangerous situation because if artificial intelligence and robotics goes higher and higher, many people become jobless. And because of the joblessness, there is going to be a terrible crisis. Like, for example, I was in Chicago. Good number of Chinese industries, they have migrated back to China now. Why? Because of same thing, same reason. AI and robotics have come. So that you don't need that African manpower which they were engaging before. Now those Africans have become jobless now in Chicago. Probably some few thousands of them. Now when you are jobless, you have wife and children to maintain. You are laid off from the job. What do you think they will do? They are seeing that the other category of people are stinking rich. And these people have not even food and clothing. So naturally there is going to be criminal activities, looting and all, cheating and all those things. So then there's a lot of criminalism and police and all these things because they are creating an imbalance in society. But the Vedic Varnashrama means creating a perfect balance in society. For that, you need the spiritual intelligence. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhakta Vrinda ki.